What's up, everybody? I was just wondering if you had multiple personality disorder and start talking to yourself during a tournament game, is that considered cheating? All right. Oh, you bought us. I see that. You put a game in there. Ershan versus Yubades. Bartsa Gedeon against Planich. A Lone Wolf against Morales. Asterbate versus Maya and Sun Prism. What did we just get? A follow or donation? Donation, Mr. Slow. Oh, we got an ambulance for you guys. Somebody with an ambulance. We need to make that an emote. Mr. Slow with $20 donation. We are registered. Woohoo, Mr. Slow, we registered. I'm registered for the World Senior Championship. Thank you, Mr. Slow, and all of you who have donated to the World Senior Fund for November. We're halfway there, almost, and your money is already working because I'm registered. Half accommodation is paid, and all I have left to do is book my flights to Porto Santo in Portugal. I can start the preparation. Yeah, it looks. I was hoping for a weak field, but it looks already quite strong. Chatalbashev is playing. He's a new entrant. I think he's like 51. Shaba decided to play. There's a bunch of players who didn't play on the list, but it's early yet. You know, I figured a lot of people are still. I was just hoping in an obscure location like an island, maybe we wouldn't get as many strong players, but all right. So thank you for the donation, Mr. So. It's tipped $20, guys. We're hosting analysis stream. I am dying of hay fever. I have like an earache. I have so much congestion. I think it's like backed up into my ears from the hay fever. It hasn't rained here in over 2 weeks, like at all. So we have like a drought, and on top of the very hot temperatures, it was a couple degrees better today, but it's still almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit in my office. As you guys can see, it is or can't see, it's right around 36 degrees Celsius now, which I guess weighs in around 96 degrees Fahrenheit. A cool, breezy 96 degrees Fahrenheit. It's probably cooler in Miami than my office. All right. We've got Yvonne first, then our donor, organ donor, Mr. Slow, with a Planage game, and then Morales, and then Asterbate and Sun Prism. And whoever else would care to donate a game or an organ. All right, let's get started. So this is as right now. This is Yabadas of Black. This is the latest. Our analysis stream helper, Yobadas, playing black here in a 10-minute game on leechess.org. In the 10-minute pool, straight up French defense. Did I click that? Did you click that? I swear I clicked the mouse and 2 moves went through. Stay away from the study. So White played the Tarash. Thank God, Mr. Move 11, that White didn't play the exchange variation. I'll kill myself. I'll kill myself. No, it must have been my mouse. You bought us. Don't take everything so literally. You're not in the study. It says you're in the study. You know that right now. Like on my screen, it literally says your name. He's not. I'm not in the study though. Okay. Well, you are according to my study. Maybe that's why you're moving pieces, because you don't know you're in there. You're not touching anything though. Ah. All right. So 92. Thank God they didn't play the exchange variation. And then, very strange move by black here. Guaranteed to confuse his opponent. B6. Wow, that takes a strong stomach to play that move. It's interesting though, because if they wanted to play the exchange variation, they would already play the exchange variation. People who play the Tarash are more sophisticated than those noobs who play the exchange variation. There's some arguments for playing pawn takes pawn here, but honestly, like the knight is on d2. It's not that great, against this pawn on d5. So you put the opponent in an alien situation where they don't know what to do. Most people are going to play knight f3. This move is surprising for me. The next move from your opponent, Ershan. They played e5. So if he wanted to play e5, why wouldn't he play the advanced variation? First of all, he plays a line, the Tarash, where you keep the tension. Now suddenly on b6, he plays e5. So he thinks that somehow e5 is good, but actually, I don't really think so. It looks to me like, you have your standard like bishop a6 type of plans here. Maya, not Maya, Nona would definitely go for bishop a6. Dorian Forintos, 1974. White is better, even after trading off his good bishop because he has so much space and knight's kind of off sides. Nakamura Duda. So, you don't like that bishop a6, huh? You play just c5. Also a good move. Good morning, master. How's your rakia? Have you recovered from Tuesday night? Oh, that's not you. I thought you were Schumacher. Sung Prison called me good morning, master. Oh, I thought you were Schumacher. I don't know why. I don't know why, actually. Sorry. Okay, c5. I don't like as much as bishop a6. c3. The Tarish players are willing to play e5, but they usually won't do that until you put the knight on f6. Now knight to c6. So you've got like hybrid between Tarish and advanced variation. White plays this. Now that shows some subtlety. Random noob is going to play the routine knight on gf3. Your opponent knows enough to go here. And that way they can unravel maybe bishop d3 and then the other knight to e2. Typical Tarish motif. So now you exchanged on d4. My bad. You exchanged on d4. And the good news is he probably can't take with a knight. But I don't really get it, Okay, I'm not expecting you to have a concrete plan. Yubadis likes to do a lot of random stuff, especially in the openings. He doesn't try to play perfect chess. But pawn takes pawn, it's like, okay. The only thing this achieves is what you did here with like bishop e4 check. But you didn't do that either. Now I don't understand what it does. Like, what does this exchange do for us? Okay, on the positive side, he doesn't have a knight that can go to c3. But he does, because he comes from e2 to c3. Here, and then, yuck. a6. That's slow and Stodgy wins the race. But yeah, no, this check doesn't do anything. I mean, I'm not an advocate of bishop b4 check. I'm not an advocate of punting pawn though. I don't see the point. I still think you should go for bishop a6, cd4, cd4, a6. We're just making random moves. White plays a3. Like, why? He's copycat style. White should clearly go for bishop d3. He can meet bishop b4 check with bishop d2 and knight b4 with bishop b1. This is a perfect position for white. He doesn't play that though. He plays a3, unnecessary, weakening these squares. And now b5, and now you have the St. George idea, which Basman and Miles advocated, playing for knight a5. It's at least a plan, something you can do. Oh, there's b-jack now. Brother. Yeah, I'm not master, I'm brother to b-jack. Brother. No, you're shadow banned. I don't get messages, I don't get notifications from people who are shadow banned. I have to search for them. Don't ask, don't tell policy. You must have done something bad to leech us in a former life. Yeah. All right. Get PGN, or just, what am I doing here? Analysis board. Copy. All right. Oh, Schumacher versus Saxac draw. Okay. So anyways, we're still in our first game. Lionel Chessy. Bishop d7. Well, I mean, I think like this is the only like active, semi-active plan, but you still need to develop your pieces. So I don't like black's game here, but I guess bishop d7 is reasonable. We're gonna follow up with normal moves like queen b6, knight a5, rook c8, but I still like white. Knight e2, queen b6. It's a little late for that. He's already got it protected. Saxac draw. Gifting a tier 1 sub to North Carolina Dan. Castles. In my opinion, white has a perfect position here. Knight on g to e7. No place for mom. Bishop e3. Okay, now bishop e3 is not for me. I didn't like his a3. It didn't seem necessary. Bishop e3, while not bad, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. So again, he's kind of like asking for knight a5, knight c4, or for that matter, knight f5, right? Knight f5, and if bishop takes f5, pawn f5, and then if knight f4 or knight c3, we're going to play bishop e6, and you can always defend that in 800 different ways, 500 words or less. And we're going to play h6 so that when you go bishop e7, he doesn't trade off your bishop with like bishop g5. So I would say you have a right to worry about, right to remain solid. You have a right to remain solid. You have a right to remain silent. Sorry guys, I had terrible hay fever and I'm just like congested. Pollen level max. Yeah, so black played f6. Oh my god! Oh my god! It's like a Tribe Called Quest song. Oh my god! The French defense is not your solid is not your style. Then why are you playing the French defense? Oh my god, f6. We're not really threatening anything, but he takes anyway. And obviously this type of structure isn't too safe. And there's a question about, like, well, where's your king gonna go? Ultimately, white is better. Rook c1. And now, interesting, bishop g7. But f6 looks a bit sus. Yeah, of course it is. No, I mean, I thought you should play knight f5. Why is knight f5 that bad? I mean, if this isn't a problem, and this isn't a problem, yes, we would take on e3. Then I think you need to play knight f5. Apparently there is a problem, Houston. Okay, let's see it. Bishop takes f5, pawn takes knight f4. I looked at this. I said bishop e6. Oh no, there is a problem. Knight g5. Dude. Because you have this. Now I have knight d8. Yeah, we needed time to play h6. Well, maybe that's our answer then. h6. Computer likes h6 right away. But this is the Tony Miles Basman type plan where you go for the outpost because he played the stupid a3. Computer knows what it's talking about. You need, okay, so you're going to need h6 if you want to play knight f5. So you can stop knight g5. That's still going to be a problem though, isn't it? Let's say h4, knight f5, bishop f5, pawn f5, knight f4, bishop e6. Let's see. Not that bad. Not that good, but not that bad. It's a bad French. What can I say? Okay, so f6 is kind of crazy. I'm not sure that white should take necessarily either. You're not threatening anything. I mean, I guess long term you will worsen his pawn structure and surround his pawn on e5. But I'm just not sure exactly how. You know, say he does rook c1, you take, he takes back with the pawn. What do you do? Like queen here, try to go after his pawn. It doesn't seem that easy. I mean, even in the instance of something like this, like I think he needs to consider the options here. It's not obvious to me that the taking or letting you take is better. But he could play something like h4. Computer, oh, it's white's move. It likes he takes f. It likes knight f4. It likes rook e1. Well, anyway, he has a lot of options. He takes, rook c1, bishop g7. Now, what about this? I don't much like that outpost there. But yeah, what's he gonna do with a rook there? Not so easy. So he goes right for your jugular. Ooh. Yeah, now there's no way you're allowing this. It's really awkward. Queen g4 mate. Yeah, so you're in a lot of trouble. You decide to give up the bishop. Probably a good idea. But it's not, you know, a no-brainer that you should take that. Right? Why should he take this right away? Just taking it because it's a bishop. It's a little too robotic. Maybe he should play knight h4. I mean, if you're going to play bishop h8, you could have played bishop h8 last move. But I guess you could play bishop f8. Like knight h4, bishop f8. Is that a thing? It's not great. Pretty. Cecil Purdy. The ability to take a piece is stronger than taking it. Yeah. They heard about the threat is stronger than the execution. So this was an early capture. White played kind of superficiously. Superficious. Superficiously. Superficiously. Is that a word? Superficially. Superficiously? Alright. He forces your rook to f7. That's kind of awkward, but he has no direct attack. Rook e1. White played pretty logically. King h8. Bishop b1. Rook g8. Rook c3. Oh. Oh no, the French defense. Wait, the French defense. Oh no. I remember there was another game involving something with that. It's the Bermuda Triangle. The old Bermuda Triangle. But there's nothing on this diagonal. The bishop and the queen here. Oops, there goes the center. Takes. But this is only protected once. Oh no. Butters. Our bishop is hanging. Very nice. And he goes here. Big mistake. What does that do? Yeah. Rook e5. That can't work. There's no way this works, right? Wow, wow. I didn't even see we're on F2. Holy crap. Yep. So last move, pawn takes pawn. Suddenly, boom. Boom. And then e4. Oh no. So you can try bishop e3. That's what he did. And that's a nice little check at d4. So if he plays bishop d4 check, you might have to think about taking that. And then another check. You can cover with the rook, but your rooks are pinned. So the beat goes on. If this were to occur, looks like you're still in trouble. Oh no, you have rook takes g2 in between move. I'm relying on the computer today. Wow. Yeah, so he plays knight d4. Blockading. And now are you threatening something? Well, this is protected. You have knight c4. You have some knight g4. Bishop g4. He's got to get you on the dark squares. So that's why putting the bishop on d4 was better. And he plays this. Ooh, lemon. Theoretical lemon. Check. And now if king h1, queen takes h2 mate. But if king f1, you repeat, he goes back, you repeat, he goes back. And then you can play like queen, I guess. Queen h2. Or if you want to be really cruel, you could play what? Oh, we got to be careful, this d4. Oh my god. Oh no. Wait. Check here. Oh no. Dude, are we winning? You have rook takes g2. Oh my god. You have rook takes g2. And if bishop d4 check, you freed up the square. So long as you don't have to interpose a rook on g7, you're winning. That's nice. That's a nice line. Beautiful. So he just resigned after knight f3 check. That's surprising. Yeah, entertaining, man. Have you seen my darks for bishop? Let's see that position where he played knight takes g7 before we go on. White's clearly better. He plays knight h5. Apparently you had bishop e8 as well, but rook f7 is decent. Now, should he take your bishop? Absolutely a minor inaccuracy. Peter likes my outpost move. Yeah, you don't have to take the bishop. I mean, the bishop's just not better than a knight. You endeavor to entertain, and you did. You did entertain. It was very entertaining and unsound. Unsound, you bought us. Acerbate tip 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're up to 49.38%. Nice to see Zen chess, by the way. Safe to say, yeah. All right, next game. Planich against, we didn't do Bartza yet, right? And Bartza, like, they call, like, G3 the Hungarian opening and stuff. Or the Benko opening, because Benko played against Fischer. But it's safer to just say Hungarian opening. Because Bartza played it, Benko played it. Like, all these 70s generation Hungarian grandmasters. Balázs Laszlo. What is his name? Another B name. István. Bilek. István. Nedog, you made it. Pooh. Bro. Yeah, dude. We're all busy, but I have time to stop by the stream, you know. Oh yeah, it's my stream, sorry. Forgot. Yeah, excuses. Moving students in Boston. Nice to see you, Nedog. I figured. So anyway, Bartza is white. Knight f3, no g3. d6. I like this move by Planich. I've been using this quite a bit myself. I look super sexy. I look super sick. I have terrible hay fever. And I feel like I feel like I have a really bad cold. And I have like an earache because there's so much congestion in my head. Freaking, it's 100 degrees every day and hasn't rained in 2 weeks. All right, it's really good for those with allergies. I look super sexy. It's super hot, dude. I moved to my old apartment where the average temperature in my office is 98.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have only a fan. That's with the fan on. Without the fan, it's over 100. So I'm having fun. Yeah, it's all about looking sexy, you know. That's why I wear the wife beater. It's not because it's 100 degrees in my office with a metal roof or anything like that, aluminum roof. So d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, and then e3. So Bartza was a very strong Hungarian player. Many times, I guess, Hungarian champion. I obviously never met him. He was deceased before I came to Hungary. But this is an interesting idea. It looks, well, it's like Axel Smith system. E3 poison. What we're doing is we're playing the French defense against the King's Indian with an extra tempo. It's actually not that bad. It looks extremely passive. Mr. Coffee has played this, and I had a friend who was a title player who used to do it from time to time. Sometimes King's Indian players, especially less experienced ones, they don't know what to do against a slow sort of setup. It's not that theoretical or whatever, but objectively, white is black and black is white. So, castles, bishop e2. Now knight on bd7. Now white doesn't have to commit to castling kingside. There's something to be said for stuff like, b4, b3, and queen c2. You can delay castling kingside, try to be a little bit tricky. But he castles directly, and then Planage plays e5. But I will go back a minute and just say that the Axel Smith, the Swedish guy who wrote the book about E3 poison or whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to seriously consider this. C5 is a good move. In fact, if white doesn't play d5, then black maybe will. And so that's where we get to the e3 poison thing. It's basically a Benoni where white is like a move down. You could play like knight d2. This is dangerous. h4. Are we talking about the same game? So bishop e2, knight on bd7. That's one option. The other option is c5. I mean, you could do something like c6, a6. So it's a like non-invasive species act. I mean, white doesn't have an invasive type of system here, giving black a lot of options. But I was thinking if you do c5, black can even play. I would think black could even play like d5, for example. If you don't play d5 yourself, you can play the Grunfeld. Where Zen chess is recognized as a Catalan reversed, sort of. Anyways, so we got a classical King's Indian attack now. Castles, e5, and then probably we're looking at classical King's Indian attack reversed. So b4 is well known. b3 is a little bit more quiet. Computer likes, I don't know what. The opening explorer likes queen c2. From my perspective, queen c2 prevents e4. So we might be able to play rook d1, rook e8, and now rook d1. Reminds me of the semi-Slav Marin, anti-Marin. Here e4, knight d2, queen e7, Grishuk Fabiano. I don't know how much the extra tempo matters here. Bobby Fischer. So b3, kind of a quiet move. Rook e8, and now white played bishop a3, which is weird. This is a weird move. Oh shit. I didn't realize this. Lichtinsky was such a older player. 1975. Joe Gallagher, 97. David Navarro, 1998. David Navarro was 2275. And he played this against Balashov, 1998. Must have been scary to play 2275 David Navarro. So after bishop a3, it's like, is white threatening anything? I mean, What does this move really do? On the other hand, like black has kind of just the one plan to push. You could theoretically take. Pushing is the classical way to play. So it's interesting that Barca had the exact same game. This game was played in 1969. He would repeat it and win against Litinsky. I think is like a Czech. That was a Czech player. I don't know if he's still alive. E4 92. Knight f8. Classic King's Indian attack. And now Queen b1. So this is Barca's secret plan. Not Queen c2, but Queen b1. So are we seriously looking at like Bishop d1, Bishop c2 to attack the e4 pawn? He did that. Dude, this is extreme. What's Bishop a3 about? Is that to give the queen like a little extra room? He's asked to move or something? So Bishop f5. I should be looking at this game from Black's perspective. I'm sorry to do this to you guys. All right, we'll leave it the way it was, but we should be looking at this from Black's perspective. I'm not going to change it in the middle of the game. Okay, that would be wrong. But this is a study for Mr. Slow about Planage games, and so I should have started from the beginning with the black side. But all right, I'm not going to flip it on you in the middle of the game. So now, white plays Bishop d1, Black's turn, and we've got 1, 2, 3 defenders, 1, 2, 3 attackers, but number 4 is coming with Bishop c2. Extreme concrete plan alert. Well, so if we do routine moves, in other words, Queen d7, Bishop c2, and we're screwed. But what about, here's someone played c6, which is Joe Gallagher played c6 and went on to win. Okay, so Gallagher just going to defend the pawn with a pawn. That was his plan. Against some random guy. The random guy just played b4. And Gallagher started attacking on the king side. Well, Joe's written books. He wrote a book on the King's Indian. So he knows what he's doing. So it looks like Barca's opponent did c5 with the idea of putting pressure on d4 and maybe like opening this diagonal. But, you know, modern Grandmaster just simply played c6 idea d5. Then b4, and then h5. Now bishop c2. And interestingly, Gallagher didn't play d5. I don't know why. Because you would assume that was the plan. Maybe he only wanted to play c6 to keep the knight off of d5, and now he goes queen e7. White played c5, and black played d5. White played b5. And White's gonna get checkmated on the king side here. Now we're looking at Bobby Fischer style. So anyways, in the game, black played c5, which mixes it up a bit. So why is that pawn not hanging? Aha. Because the knight's hanging on d2. But that could be a way to, like, you know, dumb down this game. If Barca takes on c5, what is planning doing? Queen a5 is nothing, so it has to be recapture, hitting knight on d2. Then we go queen somewhere, but there's no ideal move. I guess queen c1. Then we take the pressure off of e4. White's position looks kind of stupid. Okay. So if you can't play that, you play that. And now the plan is bishop c2 and surround the pawn on e4 again. Now he goes back. Knight 6 back to 7. Oh no, so the Litinsky played h5. Fear not. He played h5 and ended up losing after bishop c2, queen e7, bishop b2, knight 8, h7, f3. And if I'm black now, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Can I feel like black misplaced his knight. This knight would be better on like d7 now. Sometimes you can sack a pawn there. Look how he lost. He takes f3, bishop takes f5, queen takes e3 check, rook f2, f takes g2. Here, oh my god. This is crazy. What? 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 That was kind of a crazy game. But we vary here with knight 6 d7. So this is interesting. He takes defense away from e4. He attacks the knight on c3. And I guess he's planning on playing knight e5. If g4, the knight's hanging. Knight's hanging. h5 stops g4, by the way. Queen g5. No need for g4. But what the hell is going on here? Oh, I see. So if you take on e4, well, what happens if you take on e4? Rook e4. This is confusing. Bishop takes g7. Rook g4. Attacking the queen and g2. They didn't show you that position in kindergarten. That's crazy. So this is very crafty by black. The pawn on e4 is effectively defended. White ups the pressure and then he goes back. So he just like magically teleported his queen to g5. That's pretty cool. He did queen teleportation. Well, the other guy just wasn't imaginative. You know, h5 is a completely like routine move. This was imaginative. He got his queen to g5, which really changes the picture because black starts to have threats against g2. h5 doesn't really do anything. Here, now white, you see now the game shifts because if all of our pressure, all this nonsense against e4 doesn't do anything, now black just has a free kick on the king side. So white starts playing defensively, knight g3, winning the bishop possibly. But how much does that matter in such a closed position? Queen h4. And what did we see in the Yabatas game? Grab the bishop immediately? Right? Guys, don't forget to donate, support the stream. Support my going to the World Senior. Asterbate, thank you for donation, 123. Nedog's supposed to play in the World Senior, but he forgot to register. Nedog's old enough to play in the World Senior now. Portugal. See you there. Knight takes f5. No. Well, what if knight f5? Knight f5, pawn f5. It's like a Benoni. How do you dismantle the white squares? Well, this is a little like the other game. It's playable. This is playable. So he could take the bishop, but he waits. Plays f3 immediately. Oh no. That's even more scary. And the same thing. The one drawback of f3 is that it weakens this pawn. If this rook could only come over here. If only white could play rook a e1. I still think that white is probably okay. It's just got to be very careful. Now he takes, though. He takes, allowing e3 to fall. Really? Can't. I mean, okay, so this is a problem anyway. White could play anything. I mean, rook e1. This doesn't really make sense. Take this rook off the f-file. The other rook needs to be on e1. But that's the problem with queen b1, bishop c2. You know, you block your own pieces on the back row. So he takes, check. King h1. Well, this isn't very exciting. I was expecting black to do like a Korchnoi sort of pawn sack. If you get this structure, you're golden. I've done these type of pawn sacks. I mean, obviously, yeah. If you could force white to take back with the pawn somehow, that would be good, but not so easy to do. It's not easy to force white to take back with the pawn. So he goes queen h6 here. Take, check, king h1. White has a really bad bishop. Queen back to h6, but what is black threatening? What do you menace? Queen c2, 95. Okay. So it appears like black equalized. But I guess what happens if like the knight moves and black plays f5? Rook a e1, rook e7, rook e2, queen h4, dark square strategy. So the only difference between the two sides is the light square bishop that black doesn't have. Instead of a bad light square bishop, black has two good knights and a good bishop. White has a good knight, a good bishop, and a bad bishop. So the bishop on e4 is the only bad piece on the board. Is kind of the point here. What's up, Thomas Reinson? Lock up your daughters. The Viking is in the house. What about your mothers and sisters? Just asking. So the only thing is like the structure is kind of symmetrical. I feel like white is probably hanging on here. He is. He's hanging on. You know, I wanted to see like a real bloodbath. But it's like white is groveling for a draw here. And now f5. The bishop decline. You have space for another game? Absolutely. For you, sir? So, obviously f5 is is a component here. There's also knight f4, but you have to watch out for g3 fork. So he played g3 preemptively. The black queen moved. And now f4. And what? All right, so more pawn moves. Feels like something should be overloaded. My queen is overloaded. Trying to protect everything. Knight g4. Oh. Yeah, I don't know about f4, but man, I mean, okay, knight f4 is a problem. What if he moved his queen? He's going to lose f3. f5 is going to kill him. He's just going to lose f3. He has no way to defend f3. So the basic premise is the bad bishop. This is really a positional game by black. f4, too many weaknesses now. Bishop takes g7. Bling. Nice. Nice. Threatening rook takes e2. So you can't ignore this. Rook takes, and then if rook takes, yeah, you're screwed. Oh no. So he can't, oh my god. He can't take the rook, and he can't move his bishop. So white has this miracle. Wait, I don't get it. It's not a miracle. How does this work? King g1, rook e2, rook e2, rook e2, queen e2. And black's up a piece. Oops. He just lost a piece. So that's it. There's like no defense. It's kind of anticlimactic. He just can't. Yeah, there's no move. He had to play king g1 to defend his knight. Oops. No surprise there, though. This is embarrassing to lose like this. That's like when I lost to Harderson. But I mean, it's like you finish the game, you're like, what happened to my king side? So he goes down and gets a pawn. I got a pawn. I got a check. I got a pawn and a check. I got a pass pawn. So we got some. At this point, white's just trying to, like, play enough moves that he didn't lose in 19 moves, and it's embarrassing. 92 threatening fork. Oof. So he can't stop the fork. Unforkable. Oh no. Dual vultures. B takes c5. Oh no, f6. Oh no. f6? f6? What? Surely I'm missing something here. Surely. Oh no, knight g3, knight e2 check. Oh, that's cute. So if you take here, it's knight g3 check, here. Check, king h6. Haha. And now? He resigned. But if king here? I mean, this black king can come up to h5 if it gets checked. Shirley was the name of my best friend's mom. She was a lunch lady. All right. King g1. There's no immediate mate, is there? Mate in 5. Knight on g e2 check. King f2. Queen h2 check. King e1. Knight f3 check. King d1. Knight c3 check. King c1. And queen d2 mate. Phew, guys. All right, we got a game from Thomas Strengson. I got such bad allergies. feel like I'm sick. All right, analysis board here. Thanks, Tomas. All right. Let me get some water. We'll be right back. 1 minute. 1 minute, we'll resume with Morales or maybe Asterbate. Morales is not here yet. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. How are you? All right. I'm uncomfortable. And yourself? Hay fever with 98 degrees Fahrenheit in the office. I feel great. Who designed the Kraken? We got somebody, a random stranger, to do it. On some, one of those sites. All right. So I don't know what's up with me, but anyway, if I die, I die. I'm gonna hold the Morales game. See if he shows up. I don't think he ever shows up though, does he? Morales never actually comes to these streams. Let's just do it. All right, so this is Morales with black. He's changed his openings. He was playing the Budapest Gambit a lot. Morales is one of the oldest viewers on my stream. Not like literally oldest, but oldest in terms of being a viewer of the stream from the beginning. And made him an honorary VIP, like Asterbate. No, he checks it. Yeah, he watches the stream, but he's not usually here live. At least not on Thursdays. But he used to play the Budapest Gambit. He's been playing different stuff. So now we see, I think, quite a distance. We've come quite a long way from the Budapest Gambit here. Playing like correctly. C4, E6, G3. One of the moves I least like to face. I got your game. It's in there. Yeah, so I started playing bishop check and c5 recently. I didn't know that was even a thing, but I played this in the past. Notice c5 is very rare here. Queen e7 is like a transposition to a bogo. Well, it is basically all. As soon as white plays knight f3, it transposes. But Queen e7 is a standard bogo idea. Yeah, nothing wrong with Queen e7. This is a common idea, but it's going to be a Catalan anyway. I mean, if you play like bishop e7, maybe there's something tricky we could do, like c5. There was a handful of people who played this. It's like a weird snake / old Benoni. What would the point be? Not good. Yeah, this doesn't look good. All right, I'm just thinking out loud. So Morales played a5. I think I like c5 better. There's also knight d2. You have to be prepared for that. Very important move as well, and very different stylistically. I will make this comment though. I don't think knight d2 here is quite as good as it is in the normal Bogo. On the fourth move in the normal Bogo, it's a pretty, maybe the best move. Here I don't think it necessarily is. Look at the opening explorer. I mean, look at the engine. The engine is okay. My computer is not that fast, but it's like King Bishop d2. It's like King Bishop d2 a tiny bit more. That's the feeling I have as well. That I don't know why exactly. I mean, White's committed to g3. In the normal Bogo, he's not. So it has to be related to that. But anyway, Bishop d2, a5, Bishop g2, and then you can play d5 and go back into a Catalan. But I feel like that's what White wants. These guys, that's what they want. You know, they want you to go into a Catalan. Then they're comfortable, they're happy. They've avoided the Nimzo and the Bogo India and the Queen's India and everything. So I think that if we're going to play a hypermodern opening, it doesn't make sense to play d5. You need to either castle or play d6. I might have played knight c6 as well. I had a game with Feigl once. I had this with Dmitry and Feigl. Castles, knight f3. Now we have a transposition. No, there is sometimes people will do like e4. But as I told Acerbate, like you have this dark square underbelly. It's like a King's Indian. Remember, Acerbate, when you're white, you have to be careful of the dark square underbelly of your position, that it doesn't get weak. I don't think that e4 is that good objectively. There's also e3, and they can put the knight on e2. This is like solid. Anyways, castles, knight f3 transposing. Now you have b6 and d6. d6 is probably more respected. The more respected move. Again, d5, I almost lost to Terzo playing that. Big mistake. I never do well with d5. Knight a6 is just not good. No, knight a6 not happening here. You can play b6, and if they go knight e5, you can play either c6 or rook a7. This is Romanician. This is a Romanician system. But I like d6. That's Smyslov. The idea with d6, we're going to play for e5. So I think honestly, I don't know about the move order. You might want to be careful about this. If you play d6 right away, I've had some weird games with like people trying to play queen a4 check. But maybe Morales, you're better off playing this first. d6 first rather than castling. Then knight f3, and now knight on bd7. You don't absolutely need to castle, but you do need to play for e5, because when he castles, you're supposed to play e5 now. Because if this bishop moves, White's starting to trap your bishop with a3. And so if you take time to castle now, well, it's hasta la vista, right? You lose a piece. So I think the moral of the story is that castles isn't necessary for black, but it is necessary to play e5 and take on d4, so you carve out a square for your bishop to retreat on c5. That's how it's supposed to work. So I think this might be like not the most accurate move order for black. So now you have to, yeah, you had to play bishop takes d2. It's not as good as the Smyslov system. I've definitely played this, but white is a little better. See now, normally in this line, in these lines, they take with the knight, but he doesn't have to here because there's no tricks. Your queen's on an e7. He can take with the queen. I put the knight on c3. I had a game like this once. I think white's a little better here. Maybe I had a game like this with Morales, actually. Let's see. Player? Me? No. I had a game with black against JCS. 2018. Haven't seen JCS in a year or more. I hope he's okay. All right, queen e7, knight c3. Well, I've got a couple games here. I played knight c6, which is really pushing the envelope, but that's playable. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to play e5 right away. Maybe this isn't so stupid. You can delay it a move. Knight on bd7, the computer likes that the best. And the Opening Explorer likes that the best. But I would avoid this line, Morales. You know, you should just not castle. Play d6 right away. And then I know that Avruk or somebody recommends e4. I don't think that's dangerous. And then knight f3, knight on bd7. There's a funky move here, bishop d7. Bishop d7. What are you gonna do? Like bishop c6? That's experimental. That's weird. But anyway, knight on bd7. That would be my recommendation. Anyways, blah 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 blah. White's a little better. White's better, but what to play? e3. Who would Boris Avruk play? Just rook moves. Rook ac1. Rook acs. e4. See, e4 is dark square happiness again. This is the problem with the BOGO. You're going to lose control of the dark square, the squishy soft underbelly. Boris Avruk. Well, what a surprise. The squishy underbelly of white's position at d4. It's like a Tootsie Pop. You know, the middle of it is getting weak there. Surprised that white has as much advantage as he does after e4. I was expecting Avruk to like play e3. Hardly anyone played e3. So what does your opponent play? d5. And we had a game like this. But like, where is the knight on f3 going? Now knight a6 is okay, Sun Prism. You've got a normal BOGO where the queen is like misplaced on d2. You should have a knight on d2 to defend the... Yeah, actually, no. Yeah, okay, he can play knight e1. I had a game just like this with black against somebody pretty recently. a4 is like greedy. What would I do? Once I lost to Hertan in this type of... How did that work? Black played somehow queen like c6. He did c6 and was able to bring his queen over here, where it became really annoying. So I think the a4 is not necessary. Morales played the same against me. Might as well just exchange knights and play b6 here, knight c5, and or just exchange knights to play knight c5 here. Wow. So here's the question, are we okay with f5, or should we just hunker down? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think you can play bishop d7 because of knight c7, but maybe you could play bishop a6. Though that would be, I don't know. You can play bishop d7. Oh, it's a tactic. Knight takes c7, rook c8. You have this. Or rook a5. Yeah, that's cool, man. Knight b5 takes here, knight b3, or knight e6. Need a monster knight for a pawn. Not bad. So the question is f5, and it's the best move according to the engine. So I'm worried about f4, but I guess that's nothing. Nothing to worry about here. Okay. f5, aggressive. He did play f4, but we're taking, exactly. But if he takes, are we taking with the queen, or we're dropping like c7? What the hell's going on here? You're going to give up the c7 pawn. Okay. Should we exchange rooks first on f1? This has got to be a mistake. You think you'll get doubled on the f-file? No. He has this. Well, look. I mean, let's start with f5. Like, you don't have to do this. Like, black has no losing chances. You can play bishop d7. If he plays f4, you can play f6 and offer a draw if you want to. As far as I'm concerned. F5 is an aggressive move. After f4 now, we've got to be careful. But I'm not sure. I mean, is this to be considered? Can we do that? And then e5? And that, and then that? That's good, right? No problem here. Hurton. Well, Hurton is, he lives in Western Mass. He's originally from New York State, but he lives out in bumfuck Western Mass. He's not a native Bostonian, although he lived close to Boston at some point. He used to live in Boston. He did for a long time. F4, F takes e4, F takes e5. Yeah, I don't like this. Can you take on f4? You have taken out. Okay. So here, and you should exchange rooks. I understand your concern, though. I think that white was concerned about like take, and queen f2. That would certainly be my concern. My concern is your concern. But it looks like ultimately maybe you could just play something stupid like h6. Actually, yeah, you don't want to get back rank mated. It's like here, check, king h8, queen f8. That's the problem. So I figure even this, check, here, and not clear what's going on, I guess, really. He has knight takes c7, but what's happening? Yeah, it's very unclear. Very unclear. So I guess this is a big mistake, man. It was risky to play f5. You got to play dynamically after that. Allowing this seems shaky. You should have exchanged an f1 yourself. You're lucky if you're not in trouble here. This is very similar to the game we had. But he trades queens. I mean, are you serious? He trades queens. White trades queens here. He's more of a chicken than Nedog. The black king is on f8. I'm just saying, you know. Don't we kind of have to play rook takes? Isn't that the only question at hand? And what the hell are you going to do after rook takes? Shots fired. Nedog is down. Astrobate gifted tier 1 sub to Dragonfly Hunter. Good choice. Astrobate gifted tier 1 sub to Checkmate 994. Sorry, 944. What is black going to do after rook takes e4? You have two moves. I mean, does bishop f5 work? Bishop f5. Rook f4. Yeah, shit. Maybe it does. You have bishop f5. That'd be funny. You have to send the game before the streams. Yeah. Yeah, I'll allow one more game for today. I'm feeling a little under the weather. I have really, really bad hay fever. That makes me feel like I'm like suffering from an extremely bad cold. I'm really tired. It's 100 degrees. Bishop f5 saves black, huh? Wow. And then if rook f4, there's this. Maybe that's nothing, though. Shit. So much for the saves him theory. Maybe this isn't so clear. Black's winning. Oh no, queen takes f4. You guys serious? You're all just paying attention to the chat there. No one's actually watching the game with me. Rook f4, queen takes f4. I need your help so I don't hang a queen or something. One move tactics. Okay, bishop f4. Wow, bishop f5. It forces the endgame. Rook takes c5, bishop takes c2 anyway. But the point is that black can force an endgame. Anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. Bishop d7, knight takes c7. And then we're down a pawn. We're down a pawn. So we have to play rook c8. And the guy played, oh no, so we're like losing. Oh no. Alice, this isn't good enough. Shit. Well, what choice do we have? He's gonna have to improve his play earlier. It looks like we're losing. Because you have this, or 96 check, takes, and now I guess if it takes the pawn, you can surround it, and it's a draw. I guess. Damn, it's a draw anyway. So let's see the pawn takes variation. Blockadovich. I mean, I guess I have rook c5 coming. It really is a draw. Shit. Morales is lucky. Yeah, he missed knight a6. But it's not good enough either. You have to find this move, b5. This wasn't so easy, this endgame. But anyway, it totally bailed out to a draw. Now the white king is pretty strong. h4. h4. Defending the pawn. Doesn't want a free tempo. He played rook c6. Like, rook e6 is check, dude. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, well. Now black might be winning, no? No. Still a draw. Anyway, okay, nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. We're just trying to lose. Still a draw. Never got out of the boat. All right. So I got another game from Bugsy. Bugsy Montague. All right. He's an Irish mobster. Bugsy Montague. Copy. Add a new chapter. Paste. All right. Guilty as charged. Oh, God. I can't wait till it's like not 100 degrees in my office and I can like dress normally again. All right. What do we got? Masturbate. Interesting game, Morales. Sometimes Morales has a tendency to go too far. You know, I think you're playing the Bogo-Indian. It's essentially a solid defense. F5 was a very aggressive move. Maybe you should just play on the queen side. Yobatis did that today. He was trying to play on both sides of the board at the same time. Okay, Masturbate is up. Knight F3, C5, B3. It's an English symmetrical now. Correct. So, here you have to make a decision what to do. I mean, I think, like, Bishop B2 is normal. Pawn takes pawn is normal. I played this position in reverse. It's my repertoire recommendation for the Budapest Gambit with, not Budapest Gambit, for the Blumenfeld Gambit. If you're black, people play like E3 against the Budapest, yeah. If people play E3 against the Blumenfeld Gambit, we can do a double fianchetto, so G3. I was literally criticizing Acerbate for playing G3 after E3 just earlier today. But it's ironic that this is an actual move here. Where Acerbate doesn't know what to think. I'm like, don't play G3 after E3. But he did it in like the first 3 moves. He played Knight F3, D4, E3, G3, like that. You know, the idea is that it's like a Benoni. So if black tries to push, you know, this bishop can. But that's definitely not the main move. Now black played Knight C6. He's threatening. Are you threatening me? Yeah, I don't like this thing. This D4 is coming, bro. There's all these games with castles, but I mean, what are we doing after D4? We're just playing like a bad ready. It's a bad ready. Well, you can do D4. But it's yeah. Well, I mean, maybe like you should do pawn takes pawn on D4. That's perfectly reasonable. You're black. Put a tempo up. Masturbate, gifting another tier 1 sub to ICTs. I think I would exchange and then play castle. And now it's not dangerous as much. I don't think this is as dangerous here. Playable, but not as dangerous. So probably castles, and then you do D4. And now we have like basically some kind of semi-Tarrasch transposition. But Masturbate plays A3. This actually a little bit tricky. This move. Sebe managed to win, but that was 2017. His opponent I also played around that time. He wasn't that strong yet. Patser Florian. So D4 B4. Interesting. Or D4 take B4. So A3 is not so bad here. Black reacted strangely. Everyone else played castles, but Asterbate's opponent did a copycat. A6, which is really not appropriate that much. I mean, I don't know. It's better than A5. I mean, this is the big question, dude. 5 out of 5 players didn't play D4. This is my concern. You know, it looks like you've got B4. You can try this. Then if D3, you have to go back to F1 and hope that this pawn is like overextended. Computer doesn't like this. It's got a really funky line. Takes, queen B3, bishop D7, or knight D7. Crazy variations. Anyway, I just find it interesting. It's interesting that, although to me this is clearly a very dangerous move, none of the players played that. 0 out of 5. 2200, 2200, 2200, and 2400. I mean, Kotzer should be able to find that move. But, you know, he doesn't have to. I mean, that's the thing. You're equal if you castle, but you're playing for more with D4. A6 is a waste of time. And then Asterbate totally lost his mind here. Horrible A4. This is obviously a mouse slip. He was intending to play rook A2 and accidentally grabbed his A pawn. No, I mean, you should do pawn takes pawn on D4, I guess. I guess there is a problem, though. If you do pawn takes pawn and D4, another question. Yeah, no, pawn takes pawn and D4, of course. Then knight E4 again. I was wondering about this, for example. Talking about rook A2, Asterbate. That's our original Asterbate maneuver, although traditionally played with rook A7, not rook A2. I think it's actually okay here, but this move is atrocious. What happened? CD5, and then black took with a knight, but this is more dynamic. Okay, this is a safe move. It's always safer to take with a piece than a pawn. Seriously? What's that? Dragonfly Hunter? But Asterbate, what the hell is A4? It's like the worst move ever. It's the worst move ever. You literally just played A3. Yeah, this is positionally like horrendous. Giving up the B4 square to prevent B5. That's atrocious. And Asterbate's opponent here, like, this is funny, you know. They know that this is an important like point. They're like, oh yeah, B4 is weak, so I'm gonna put my knight there, you know. But again, we're talking about the threat is stronger than the execution. Putting the knight on B4 doesn't really do anything. You have an advantage because of that weak square, but doesn't mean you should just stick your knight there. It doesn't do anything. Knight a3. Ah! After a4, white could do knight a3, knight c2. Aha! So that's the kind of perverse logic that Asterby is capable of. Auger Slogger. Slogger Auger. Hop hop. Am Schweinsgalopp. Yeah, this is the kind of insane logic that Asterby might employ with knight a3. I'll weaken my position so I can play. Yeah, he wanted to place put his knight. He realized that this isn't good. So by process of elimination, I mean, you can definitely play d3. And it's a passive ready. But I think the recommendation for this type of position is to take, and then, d3 is kind of passive because black can go here. I've had this happen before. So I think the classical recommendation is you can try to do like a hedgehog sort of thing. But if they get in b5, no, you can try to do this like a weird sort of hedgehog, definitely. Yeah, right. So why did you play a3? Don't ask him to explain that. Little voice inside his head tells him to do stuff. Now his opponent, are you ready? His opponent played a5. What are you guys doing? Equalizing. Now I don't know. It's equal. One good move deserves another. Planning knight a2. d4. Okay. All right, and now black plays knight e4. Which is clearly risky. Why not b6? I mean, you could do a reverse, like 95 bishop b7 bishop f3 type of thing. Maybe then knight e4 is actually better. But here the question is, can you take it? If you were to take it, can black defend that pawn? And f5 looks like would be probably okay. Computer thinks black's a tiny bit better. So taking's not so great. You did this. I'm gonna need to see like your driver's license. Opening up pressure on d5 at the cost of giving away our d4 pawn. d5 is pretty well protected. I'm just not really I'm just not really seeing what we're getting here. They never played what? A20? Is that the opening code? D takes c5. I mean, if I was white in this position, I would probably want to develop. I guess I would want to just develop. And rook c1 or something. We have to watch out, though, for the a2 fork. We've got no good squares for the queen. This is kind of annoying. Now what do we do? So now she could do anything. Knight takes c3. Black chooses to play this. Bishop takes, take with the knight. And then bishop b2, bishop d4. Okay. Now let's agree, draw, shake hands. Shake hands and agree to a draw, boys and girls. I mean, you could put your bishop on a better diagonal at this point. Hoping for this cheapo. Take, take, take. And then queen c2 check and win the bishop. Or you're not going to play bishop d1, bishop c2, are you? She saw that. And now h4. Oh my god. h4. Black's already prevented knight g5. Why are you playing h4? Jesus, dude. Can anybody guess the point of h4? My only guess is that it stops, it's an attempt to stop g5, discouraging g5. I mean, obviously black played h6 to try to play g5. Astrobeat doesn't think like you and me. He plays by patterns. He doesn't actually calculate. I don't think it's an attack. I think it's a scheme. If his rook's on h1, maybe there's some knight g5 stuff. This move, clearly, I don't have any idea what that does. And black just won the exchange with bishop a6. Oh my god. Wow. She literally played b6, threatening bishop a6. But it's not winning the exchange. Okay, you have queen d1. Okay, you go back to d1. Let's see. f6, b2, bishop a6, queen d1, takes. I don't know which is worse, though. h6 h4 or f6. Probably f6 is worse. She has a chronic, total and chronic weakness on g6. h4, you could just not have that pawn and still you control all the key squares around your king side. h4 is not that bad in the long run. This is a very weak square. Rook b8. What? What's that do? Now Asprey gets counterattack. Queen g4. Nice. Eyeing g7. The weak squares. e6. She plays f5. And now, so if queen g6, you have rook f6. So you went to h5. But there doesn't seem to be any threat in this position for white. So you're going to have to add more fuel to the fire. And now knight f6. Repositioning back here. Oops, and now there's a fork at d2. That I don't like. You play h5. Yeah, Astrobate likes knight h4. There's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat. He could get to g6 from e5 as well after this. He needs time. I mean, you could go here, and then if knight e4, knight f3, then there's no square there. So instead of knight d4, you like h5 with the idea of knight h4. Solid. Black should be able to hold. But I agree h5 is reasonable. But I think knight d2, knight d4 is okay as well. But I think it may be a central. Wow, Neptune gifting 5 tier 1 subs. What's up, Pavel? The Abominable Joe man. Arwin. Lady in Black is back. Kiwi Reki And LJL chess. Wow, the abominable Nefedov is back. I'm in kind of a bad mood because I have bad hay fever and I feel like I'm sick. Thanks, Nefedov, for making the night a little bit better. Oh, terrible allergies here. Why not centralize a rook, Asterbate? Nefedov, thank you. Yeah, nobody wants to touch the donation bar because it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nobody with ADD or, obsessive compulsive disorder wants to correct that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 donation bar. So Queen G4. Nah. But now you're going to get forked. If she plays knight E4, how are we dealing with that? Okay, you just go rook FD1, I guess. Now we're looking at possible E4. Possible E4. This looks interesting. Not the safest move. Asterbate setting up cheapos. But F4. Wow. And he doesn't comply. Bits and subs. You have to click on the rolling panda on my page, on my Twitch page. H4 panda. In the donation. Queen G4. E3. You're now 96. Threatening rook takes D5. Asterbate gave up everything for this desperado tactic. She found the defense though, rook F7. Wow. So Asterbate went nuts. He sacked a rook and then an exchange. So check. And then King H2. Now this black got bishop D6. She played, it must have been a mouse slip. She played Queen D6. So bishop D6? Somebody explain to me what's happening after bishop D6. Oh my god. Oh, I get it. So bishop D6, well, it saves you from having your queen attacked. If bishop D6, G3, and now if check, king H3, computer says 0, 0. It's extremely complicated. But she just, this is crazy. Maybe black mouse slipped. Queen D6, that feels like a mouse slip. The irony is that he didn't take. I mean, why not? He has one check. And you have G3. You're fine. You're fine. You're totally winning. But this is interesting. He just goes bishop E5. I guess that's a problem for black. I guess objectively it might be a better move than G3. I mean, taking. That doesn't disappoint, though. That was entertaining, Asterbate. You outclassed your opponent in the end. Beautiful mate, too. But he's so inaccurate and sloppy in the openings that his opponents think he's like a moron or something. And you don't really get to see, you don't see his real strength come out till halfway through the game when the opponent is like completely overwhelmed and has no idea like what's happening. Honestly, he was fishing around till move 20. Literally. Here, move 20. Actually, move. What is this? Move 23. Black seems like a totally reasonable player, and then falls apart. All right, thank you, Nefedov. What's up? I'm registered for the World Senior in November. We are registered. We're on the list. On the list. It looks like it's going to be strong tournament. It would be a lifetime accomplishment to win that. If you win the World Senior, you deserve to be a GM. It's a very strong field already. I mean, not everyone, but there are like 10 strong grandmasters already registered. The prizes aren't that big, you know, so I'm thinking for grandmasters, what's the point? But they want to become world champion. You don't just get the GM title. If you're already a GM, you become world champion. Who doesn't want to be world champion? All right, Sun Prism. Let me guess which color you are here. Black? It's the Prestige. I didn't see any Icelanders registered. 2 years ago, Danielson played, and last year Hannes played. But it's still early. The deadline, it's already there's already a field listed on chess results. Yeah. Yeah, you can go to chess results and already see it. Kaidanov is playing in the 65. I was surprised. He's already 65. But there were some new names that never played before. Shatlbashev, Shabalov. All right. Oh, there's a Russian. I don't remember. I'd feel awfully strange being a Russian and participating in a European tournament. That just seems strange. All right. E4, E6. We're playing the French defense. Knight F3, D5, E5. The PayPal donation, the Streamlabs. But you can use PayPal through Streamlabs. Normal PayPal donations don't increase the bar. Just PayPal donations through Streamlabs. That is PayPal. The credit card part doesn't work. E4, E5. E4, E5. All right, B6. No, it's not. It's not Yabatis. Yabatis' favorite move. Yabatis' favorite move, B6. Anyway, let's see. Sun Prism, our friend, Yabatis doesn't like the wing gambit. He doesn't like to face this wing gambit. That's why he's playing like B6. But I agree. I don't think it's something that black should be afraid of. But you could play Bishop D7. It depends on, you know, what setup you play in the normal lines, I guess. But B6 isn't so bad. There's also like knight E7. You want to be really weird, you could play Queen D7. Or like knight H6 or something. Helmut Riefschlager. I love that name. Schlager of Reefs. So, anyway, standard move. Then white plays C3. You got to ask yourself, like, well, what's the point of white's move order? What did he achieve? What does he achieve by using a e5 c3 move order. He avoids what, d4? No, he's allowing d4 now. D4 is the main line. My teammate Mark Ginsburg played this at the World Team. This is sharp, but it's a good move. But you have to know what you're doing. I think this is recommended in the books, but I once lost with it because I didn't know what I was doing well enough. Both sides have to know what they're doing here. Anyway, we transpose, and then you play queen b6. So, I like I'm not a French defense expert, but I like bishop d7. I think better. There's also this move, which I guess is interesting, but it does allow d takes c5. I don't know if that's any good. All right, so queen b6 is main line, but this is dangerous now. And you played bishop d7, so that's a mistake. I guess Sexek draw, bishop d7 is the main line now. Sexek draw is just tip $5. Oh no! He messed up the donation bar. Thank you for messing up donation bar to $12.39.56. Oh no, somebody's gonna have to donate. Now somebody's gonna have to donate like $10.44 to make it like an even $12.50. Because what the heck is 123.956? Feels good to give you money without enriching Amazon. Enriching, yeah, it's enriching Peter Thiel. No, Peter Thiel is no longer connected with PayPal, is he? All right, anyway, I don't know. We're always enriching some billionaire, no matter what you do. So, but yeah, I think the problem is that this line, you're supposed to play CD4, and now White's castling. This is the big thing. And this gambit is pretty effective. And I think for that reason, Black might want to switch back to playing bishop d7 in the first place. Nedok, donate. So anyway, this is the point. Bishop d3, and then if pawn takes pawn, castles. Pawn takes pawn, not pawn takes pawn, castles. The Johnny Hector attack has been revived. But anyways, Black played bishop d7. This allows d takes c5. So White was like entirely clueless. You're supposed to play d takes c5, bishop takes c5, and then castle. And White's starting b4 with an advantage. So Black kind of has to play a5. And I don't know where this stands, you know. This is your only chance. How does it? It looks like White's better. White's better. But you should not, yeah, you should not play. Bischoff's playing again. Bischoff helped me last year. He beat me the year before, and then last year he told me about my illegal move. He helped me fix my illegal move. He's one of those guys that's nice is if he's winning, but if he's like losing, he becomes like a really angry, stressed out dude. All right. So his mood depends on his position. So a5, best chance. Anyways, your opponent played this. This is terrible. Terrible. Bishop c2, defending the pawn. And now knight b4. All right. And so now White has to give you the bishop. The lesser of the evils would be the castle. But in this case, I don't know why I'm calling it a she. She's playing like a she. I don't know. Am I being sexist? Our last game with Acerbate was a female name. So A3, I mean, that's horrible. So white wasted time and then gave you the bishop and then weakened their position even more while losing time at the same time. Nice job, white. Queen D1 and bishop E5. This is like you're just like schooling in 1100. But it's a fast game probably. You see, here's an interesting point. Like, I don't know if you should waste time like moving your bishop or not. You're going to allow a queen a4 check. And then there's an interesting question here. Do we consider the possibility of king d8? There's always king d8. I mean, or even rook c6 for that matter. Oh, sorry. Whoops. Oops. So queen a4 check. This is a safe move, and it's fine. But the white king is trapped in the center for a long time. And so we got to start considering stuff like this. If king d8, bishop d2, bishop a5. King d8 is not appealing. Rook c6, we could get out of the center. You can't play b4. So you could play like bishop d2 with the idea of b4. Wow. Dude, I don't know. I have this very creepy feeling like I've analyzed this position before. You screwed up the message, but you got your $69. You sent me $69. Oh no. Sladgie. I tipped myself. I tipped myself. $69. Sladgie. Hello, good, kind chess friends and frenemies. I mean, are you serious? I knew that king d8 is the best move for black here. Nedog, thank you. I'm dying. I feel like shit, but I appreciate your generous donation, man. Get us over the hump. You got us over the hump of halfway to 52.34%. 1308.56. Yeah, the rest of the money is going to go to travel expenses and the rest. Well, I got to pay half of my. It'll cover the whole thing. It's all inclusive. It's almost like I knew this position already. Because if they try to do a face hugger, by the way, new alien Romulus. No spoilers, Nedog. Knight a6 defending f7. Ooh, we're threatening rook c4 here. You know what? You can castle manually. Do you drive stick or automatic or manual transmission? You know, I realized we do that in the Sicilian, but you could do it here in the French too. Just like walk over to c7, b8, and a8, manually castling queenside. But it's white's king that's going to burn in the middle of the board. So just to point this out to our hero here. And then white with the most shocking move ever, queen d1. Like, I just ask you, who in their right mind plays queen d1 now? Your king is stuck in the middle of the board and you're playing queen d1. And you could trade queens. Yes, you're slightly worse in this ending, but you have a fairly reasonable chance of surviving. So you play queen a4 check. You have a chance to trade queens and then you go back. Like, how inconsistent is that? he can cover, he, she, it, they can cover with knight e2 and block the diagonal. But here's the point: like queen c4, you're not going to be able to castle. You're still not going to be able to castle. So it's insane. I mean, you went to the trouble of playing queen a4. White has to trade queens and try to survive this slightly worse ending, where black has the bishop pair. The good news for white is that the pawn structure is symmetrical. Sung Prism's going to need to play f6. He's going to need to play f6 when he's ready and try to play, put pressure on e5, and eventually we can crack the structure. With the bishop pair, we should try to get a more dynamic pawn structure, some imbalance. We don't like symmetrical structures with bishop pair. The knights like the symmetrical structure. He could get an outpost there on c5 or something, Knights prefer symmetrical structure. But queen d1 is very inconsistent. What is he doing? Here, bishop e3, knight f5, rook c1. All right, fine. You could play the uber cautious queen d7. I just want to point out that those are the kind of moves that Stockfish comes up with. We always think of these computers as coming up with these ultra deep, amazing tactical lines, but oftentimes it's not that. It's the quiet moves. I think that the big advantage of the computers isn't its depth, its breadth of calculation. So it considers every possibility. The problem is, Sex draw that b6 allows this. I don't like this this line up here. But you're saying that defends the rook, so that makes sense. There is this, but yeah, b6 maybe. b6 maybe works. So you played this, and my only point is this is a concession because white gets king f2 now. I mean, I've messed up games like this, where I kind of made some concessions. See, f takes e3, bishop e7. One too many routine moves, and white is totally out. See? Dude, any medical advice for extremely bad hay fever? Chess zebra? You have hay fever in Hawaii? Probably not. I have extremely bad hay fever. It's like I feel like I'm sick. I have like horrible congestion. You can barely hear with the weed whacker. It's funny. Claritin? Does Claritin help? See, he played a little too routinely. Now knight a4. What are you going to do after knight a4? It's like 100 maximum ragweed allergy here because we haven't had any rain in like more than 2 weeks. I'm dying. All right. b4. Castles. You have a slight edge. He's trying to escape. See now, beautiful outpost. Oh my god, he took. Why would he take? Why not king g1? You know what I'm kind of curious about, actually? Imagine that, like, a little kid, who doesn't want to play chess because they've been bombarded with, like, modern games, and I know the deal, man. My kids are the same. So f6, king g1. I was thinking maybe white should play pawn takes. Pawn cakes. Because if he plays knight takes, actually, yeah. Well, there's a fork here. This is what I'm talking about by outposts, you know. Knights like outposts, and that's why symmetrical structures suck. Claritin helps a lot. Got multiple doctors. The best thing about my stream is my free doctor advice. Now, f6, e takes f6, bishop takes f6, and then he went king g1. But I mean, okay, he doesn't have an outpost now. Yeah, this is a very positional game by Sun Prism. He played a very quiet, controlled. But honestly, white should have been a dead man earlier. Taken with the pawn. You would have taken with the pawn. Taken what with the pawn? Oh my god, taken with the pawn? Oh my god, man. Wait, where? Taken what? Taken with the pawn on f6? Oh my god. You know who else would have taken with the pawn? Ubatis, who was here earlier. Well, it's, you know, you're only mildly, like, you're only mildly insane to want to do that. To be honest, I think that rook takes needs to be considered, no? No, I mean, it's not inconceivable. It's just risky. But shouldn't rook takes be considered so we can double? And maybe put the bishop on, like, d6? I bet you the computer says rook takes is the best move at the end of the day. How much you guys want to bet? It's not even playable. Why? e4 is that good? Oh my god. Wow, rook takes is horrible. I can't believe it. It's not even up there on the list. Oh, it drops to 1965. Okay. Sorry. It allows 1965. Man, I have another question. I just realized, like, doesn't white have, like, b5 at some point? Jeez. That's kind of scary. Dude, this is very scary. You're flirting with danger here with the b5. I want to get out of that. I want to get out of that area. But I think this is a mistake. This was correct. King g1 is correct. Bishop c4 is correct. Now he has knight a4. But you can kick him out with b6 later. Now we have a problem. So that was poorly planned out by Sun Prism. I mean, you have to anticipate this move. You may think, oh, white's playing passively. He's not going to do that. But it's kind of like, well, why not? It doesn't look like, you know, you have a really good answer. I don't think the G takes F suggestion was that bad, by the way. But here, yeah, it looks like Queen D6 kind of helps white. It doesn't prevent E4, but it makes it like a fork when he like takes with the knight. I mean, it might be the case where like there's a better square. Maybe D8 is safer, for example. Or maybe you can play Rook D8 to discourage E4 somehow. Though I'm very skeptical. There's this kind of thing. We have to watch this too. Oh no, you have takes? Alright, but he has knight takes. Well, I mean, basically, I think it's a draw. My fear here is that he's fine, but it's a draw. It's too drawish now. Knight f6, rook takes f6. He played. I rarely say this, but black played too solid in this game. We rarely have that criticism of people on the stream. I kind of feel like he played too solidly. Queen d7, rook e1, bishop d5. And I don't know what white's deal is. I think that black is a stronger player, although I didn't see the ratings. White's playing kind of like a maniac, and black's reacted a little bit too much on the safe side. So at this point, I think you ought to consider giving your bishop up. There is rook g6. I think at this point, no, it's time to just accept that this is likely going to be a draw. But all right. Yeah, maybe you got something. Rook e8, come on. You have to do that, really? Because of rook takes f5 and knight takes e6? Oh my god. I'm not playing rook e8 here, man. There's no way I'm playing rook e8, but the problem is after this, he has rook takes f5. And now we have to calculate. After queen takes, it looks good for white because he has this. But maybe there was a trap. I didn't see it till now, but black has rook e8 at the end. And I think it's winning. Yeah. But it's hard to see all that. You have to see it all the way to the end. But in principle, like, you never want to make a move like this. This is exclusively passive move. There's no, given a choice, I'd rather lose a pawn than have my rook, like that. You had a tactical resource there. Yeah, now rook c8. Again, kind of passive move. You could have gone to the c file to try to gain counterplay here. White is clearly going to play h3 at some point. And maybe you don't have anything anyway. But I think you have rook c2, don't you? So let's say rook c8, h3. You could do like check. No, you can't do check, but you could do rook c2, for example. You should be fine. You should be fine after rook c2, I guess. He has knight e5, but it doesn't do anything. You could even sack your queen. This is a total. That's a total fortress. There is literally no way you could lose this position. I think that black is actually like better here. For example, so focus on playing more actively in defense. This is like Morales' game. White should not put the pawn on the white square. Though he might have a trick. Exactly. Oh no. Oh, he did that. So here a6 is interesting. Rook c7, the most logical. Takes. Here. And now you're winning, right? You play king f7. Oh, you just have rook takes c6. Oh my god. No. You're winning anyway. Oh, okay. So white just yeah. I mean, it's a draw. This should be a draw. But I guess you might be a little better. Pewter doesn't think so. The pewter disagrees. It's a draw. This is crazy, though. But I thought the point is that he has rook c1. Mushroom extract. You sent a personal record rep rating. Nice. On your stream. So now you got a free pawn. Oh no. It splits. Nice. Oh no. Alright, good game. A little too solid. So next we got Schumacher, Thomas Strangson, and Chapter 8. Schumacher, good job, Sun Prism. Play a little more, aggressively, but especially in endgame. You were very solid there, but it should have been a draw. But I felt like you were the stronger player. Sexec draw. Oh no, Sexec draw. Oh no. This is Schumacher's suggestion. Oh no, Sexec draw. You played black. You played the Nimzo. He's had so much practice against me. This is Schumacher. I've given him a lot of practice in the Nimzo, so he's played. I played every variation I know. With black here, I've tried everything. Castles. And it's good if white plays e4. That's like the sharpest move. But Schumacher doesn't play that. He never played e4. Sladgie has tipped $69. This might be the first time people see you. Oh, I hate submitting my wins too, and my losses. So he plays knight f3. No, a3 is the main line. He doesn't play that either. Schumacher always plays knight f3. Or maybe he played bishop g5 against me once or twice, but usually he plays this. This is just going to transpose to another variation. But c5... c5 is my preference. In this line. Because as I always say, if I wanted to play d5, I would play d5 on move 1, This is a Rogozin transposition, but he's played queen c2. There's nothing wrong with d5. I mean, d5 is a good move. There's no question about it. It's a stylistic choice. You can play d6. I played that. I also remember a few years ago, Lynchich started playing d6. And I asked Farago Ivan about it. He was like, yes, this was a variation. It's a main line. You look at the opening explorer. There's like less than 1,000 games. d6 is an old line. Yeah, but it's kind of forgotten. And castles, knight f3. So you can play d6, you can play c5. This is more like a now we're talking Rogozin. And now it's definitely a Rogozin. But I mean, I don't know where you draw the line though, actually. To be frank, like I guess I don't. I guess it's a classical Nimzo. I don't know what the difference is between a classical Nimzo and a Rogozin though. It seems like they're the same thing at some point. It transposes. They merge into the same opening here. So I know c5 is the move. c5 should be like the sharpest. And h6, it's either c5 or h6. You played h6, bishop h4, and c5. So this is So Carlson, 2017. Mamajarov Aronian, 2013. So Grishuk, I'm rooting for you. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, obviously in Rogozin, the queen goes to c2 later, usually. But it can go to c2. Right. It could go to b3, it could go to a4, you know. It's committed to c2 here. So this is the sharper move. But I'm wondering, did I have this position with black? No. Wow. So I never played this against him. How about c5? Well, I never had this position with black on this account. Unbelievable. Wow. Schumacher, Sparkle Horse. The one time I played this, he played e3 against me. Oh, wow. We have 2 games. 2 games where I played b6. As I said, I rarely play d5, but once in a while. Look at that. Schumacher, 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 Schumacher. c5, b6, d6, everything. So he traded and played bishop g5. This has to be like a main line. h6, bishop h4. Obviously you can take, but it's pretty lame. Okay, bishop h4, and now g5. Liquan lost against Marmadyarov. Yeah, I don't know how good an idea it is to play this against Marmadyarov. Considering that Marmadyarov is like one of the best and has been one of the best like Rogozin players in the world. The Liquan guy always like shocked me. I can't believe he became 2700. I played him like 3 games in Budapest years ago. I lost 2, and then I drew a winning game. I should have beaten him. Maybe more than once. So g5 is risky. c5, okay, main line, and now the quiet e3. This is safe. So this could also transpose to a Vienna variation. You got so many different openings: the Vienna, the Rogozin, the Nimzo. If black plays like knight on bd7, see? Look at that. If you look at the opening explorer, there's 3 games with knight on bd7. But if I play the move, knight on bd7, suddenly there's like 38 games. So that transposes to another line. And another Marmadyarov game. Another day, another Marmadyarov. Sugarov, he's a Hungarian now, playing for the Hungarian team. Anyway, so knight on bd7 is possible. cd4, knight d4, obviously. That's kind of boring. Wow, so c4 is a move. Aronian. That's a spicy meatball. Now we're talking along the lines of the Vienna variation again. What's the computer say? c4 is best. So it looks like this really is probably the best, huh? Knight d2 lost 2 games. I have no games in this position. c4, d5. Exactly. d5, a lot of d5 going on here. I mean, e4, no, not going to happen. No. e4 not happening. Not even close. Anyway, okay, so Schumacher, opponent played knight c6. This is safer than c4, and then he caves and takes here. Now, this is where you can start to get aggressive, I would imagine, with the crazy G5 shit. No? Can't you start doing some crazy G5 stuff? Michael Adams-esque? I mean, I would be, like wondering about Portnoy-esque, like pawn sacks with D4. My God, can you do G5? G5, Bishop G3. There's no sort of insane D4 castles queenside. Oh no, doesn't work. Like D4 right away, castles queenside. Well, there's a move you gotta know. Castles queenside. Schumacher doesn't really like the castle queenside necessarily. Oh my God. That's crazy. The most common move in this position is D4. D4 is better than D5. It is. Wow, this Romanian guy beat Deak Bogdan down. This is an Andrei Sokolov game from 1995, France. So black shouldn't play D4. Man. But I want to play more actively with black. So he just did bishop takes C5. So what's the problem here, officer? You're following Martin Petrov. I can't remember if this Martin Petrov guy is the guy who came, if it's different, or the guy who was playing here for a while. He seemed like an interesting player. Back about 6 years ago. But anyway, yeah, bishop takes C5, and now bishop F6. Huh. Yeah, so he's playing like zero risk. This is bishop takes F6, queen F6, then he takes D5, bishop B4 check. I assure you this Petrov guy is prepared. He had some original ideas, but not surprising that black has active compensation here. A5 compensation. This is what happens a lot of times when you try to take the IQP in the Tarash too early. So Schumacher is smart to play bishop E2, bishop E7. That's passive. You didn't like G5, I take it. You didn't like G5. Well, it's solid. Bishop E7 is solid, but it's passive. This develops a piece and transposes, wow, to another line. Yeah, so I don't like bishop E7. And objectively, you should probably castle here with white with a good game. But I imagine his move is okay. Queen A5, castles. It looks like you basically like transpose to some kind of queen's gambit. Rook D8. White is a little better now. A3, A6. He just slightly better for white. This feels a little routine. He's not getting your D5 pawn. My feeling is that maybe white's play starts to get to routine. Around here somewhere. But I don't understand. Okay, there's no tactics. A3, A6. Bishop takes F6, B4. Let's have a quick look at this. if he shatters your king side, I'm not. Well, that's not possible. Not a possible move. So maybe a6 looks wrong. It probably is wrong. It's like the earlier. Wow. It's like the earlier game where Acerbate's opponent played a6. Seems strange to play a6 here. I'm not sure I understand a6. If you're going to play bishop e6, you can play bishop e6. I understand why white played a3, but I don't understand why black's playing a6. Is it to stop knight b5? Or you just didn't know what to do? Well, I mean, I don't think that it's really a threat, like, necessarily. If his bishop's on g3, it's a lot more scary, that's for sure. That was what I was afraid of against John Ems. So does he have this line? Wait. Does he have this line? a3, a6, bishop takes f6. Why doesn't this work? Okay. b4. Yeah, it likes the line. You gonna sack the exchange? You could sack the exchange. But there's this trick, queen c5. That would have been a mess, you know. Even here, maybe black has enough compensation for the exchange. The computer finds this funky move, queen b2. Okay, I missed this. No, this is safe. So there. A little scary for black, but he's holding on. You're holding on. Okay. Anyway, this feels routine. I kind of feel like black's fine now. Now he really runs out of moves. He plays h3, you know. I know after h3, like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Anybody for queen b1? We're gonna get into one of those things again. But there's no way that black does this, right? It's time to evacuate your queen from the C file, Schumacher. Computer likes h3 or queen b1. It actually likes h3. I mean, I just don't know if I see the upsides of h3 so much. Like, what does that do except for weaken our king side? Now we play queen b1. Oh, I see. So you're attacking his b2 pawn to enable this? Whoa. So we got this crazy sequence. And you just lost a pawn. Oh no. Oh no. So 94 is obviously a question of this position. Why not like b5? Well, I guess this pawn, if you try to play b4, the pawn can get weak. b5 is probably best. If you played b5, then you could play queen b6, you know, and threaten stuff like knight a5. You better have the queen. You'd rather have your queen behind the. Then again, you're going to lose your your d5 pawn. If he gets his queen off the file, he's threatening bishop takes f6, b4, g5. It's okay to play g5. Anyway, the game is practically equal, but you miscalculated. This I don't like. But you make a secondary, concession here. Maybe it's not forced. Damn, it's forced. Oh no. It's forced. Now you're lost. You see, he has the bishop and the pawn. Oh yeah, I remember the ending now. This is a huge moment. But he gives you a pass pawn of your own. So I'm not sure if that's ideal. But I guess it matters. I mean, he gets a pass pawn. He has the further outside pawn. So that pawn, you can't allow that pawn to get that far up. I mean, there's just no way. I wouldn't have expected him to take on c6 either. I mean, even g6. What are you going to do, though? I mean, it's a queen ending. You might be able to put your king on f8. I don't know. Okay, this is a surprising move. But anyway, I wonder if this is winning for white. I think he's smart to play no f4. But I guess the real question is, like, how does white win here? You know? Rather than pushing your pawn, I think your plan should be to not let him push his pawn. Kind of like a defensive strategy. I don't know if it's draw or not, but I mean, it seems difficult to anticipate how is he gonna, like, promote his pawn without his king, so it's gonna come down to either you making a mistake or you guys will, like, trade, go into queen f4 against queen n3, which probably should be a draw. Dragonfly Hunter, try to trade queens on b4. You'd probably be better off just slipping him $100 under the table or something, Yeah, obviously, if we could trade queens on b4. But that's difficult to force, obviously. Okay, so say like queen a5, queen b2. He's got to stay in touch with the pawn, and then the idea would be like you're threatening queen b4. But I mean, he played c5 in the other position. Couldn't we play c5 now? There you go. Now black really has a pass pawn, so he's going to have to stop that. And then white threatens like a4, queen b5 maybe. But it's very complicated. I mean, this is an extremely complicated ending. There's no table base. I mean, the computer thinks it's not enough. But even it doesn't mind your c5 move. Letting him get to a5 look risky. Letting him get to a6 looks risky. I just don't think you should let it get that far down the board in the first place. King h7 may be a blunder. So king h7 is a blunder, but in my opinion, I don't see why we need to allow it to get that far up in the first place. Yeah, he did well. You didn't have a perpetual here. That was cute. All right. Next game, Thomas Trenson. We got to go soon. Okay, Thomas Trenson and Checkmate 944. Or no, it's Bagsy. Bagsy Montague. Bugsy. Bugsy Montague. E4. Okay, this is Thomas. He's up to 21-20 in rapid. the Scotch. Thank you guys for supporting the stream and my efforts to go to the World Senior Championship in November. We are registered. You made it over 2,200 today on stream. Wow. Nice job, Thomas Strengthson. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like Knight f6. And there's nothing wrong with this. I feel like black equalizes, but probably equalizes in every main opening. Oh, that's funny. I did something similar recently. What was it? Oh, I know. I played bishop c5. I think I played this. Took with the d pawn. And I was just for fun. I was surprised to see. Yeah, Dragonfly Hunter, bishop b4 is a move. Here I was surprised to see that Romanishin and Kovacevic had played this. Those guys are very strong. But anyway, I don't usually play bishop c5. Probably white's best move is the knight b3. That's seen a lot of coverage lately. But anyway, okay. Here, here, here. Right, right. You can play in the normal Scotch, bishop b4 check. The idea is to induce, it's very strange. You're inducing c3 so the knight can't go to c3. And then you go to like c5 anyway. Or whatever. Some games where people actually went there, that seems kind of crazy. Yeah, that's interesting, Dragonfly Hunter. Yeah, that's known, right? They were playing that for a while. I don't know what the final word is. Knight c3, bishop b4, takes. And so black takes to the d pawn. I don't really love this move. You have a very good endgame, I would say. But I'm not theoretically aware. So there's a Leverman. Leverman? But he's not really joined by any super strong players. Anton Smirnov against Alex Lenderman. What is that, like a chess.com game or something? I mean, who knows? Probably an online tournament game. Lenderman likes playing online tournaments. Good luck with that. So why is f3 so bad? Does black get an f5 somehow? I would think like just f3 was fine. That's what Smirnov did. Smirnov is the guy who markets himself with these like chess courses for like $800 for a box set. He's like a scam artist. And I'm thinking, okay, white's clearly better, and white has like a winning king and pawn in game. But you know this, like, if black could somehow counter the center in time with f5, maybe, you know, I would think like rook e8, the idea of knight d5 or something. But it looks like it's not fast enough. It's just a tad too slow. So I don't understand chess at all, man. If Anton Smirnov, creator of $800 box sets of chess openings, can lose this position with white, you know. It's an endgame where you have a monster pawn on e4. How do you lose with white? I mean, this is crazy. That has to be a very stupid format. So there's nothing wrong with f3. Damn. Computer likes f3. I like f3. I have no problem with f3. But the point is, like, it may not be necessary. Okay. So Thomas Franson played bishop d3. That's a novelty. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. What if he takes? Oh no. What if he takes and then takes? Or if he really wants to rub your nose in it, he can do this. He can, like, humiliate you by playing knight takes e4. Does this work? Maybe not. Bishop takes e4, bishop takes check, here takes, rook e8. What do we do? Get me out of here. We're lost. Yeah, bishop g5 check. Oh shit. Right, bishop, and then, oh no, another check. We win a piece. Well, that's cute because he has nowhere to go. All right, so anyway. So on bishop d3, there's no refutation. This is very concrete, though. We can figure this out. Bishop d3 allows rook e8. And then f3. But the biggest question is this. Like, if you played bishop d2, Yuri Dovzhik against Kinch Imre, Hungarian matchup. Black has no chance. Aaron Grabinski, this kid. That's the kid. Some kid who's like an IM or GM at age 18. What I'm wondering is, how the hell does black win this position? So bishop takes c3. No, I want to play bishop d2. Now bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, knight takes e4. And then bishop takes g7, and you have rook e8. Rook e8, queenside castles check. So we're clearly better in these lines. He gives up the bishop. But you're going to have to play f3 at some point anyway. So I think I don't like the bishop on d3 because it's not really well placed. You know, it gets in the way of your d file. And it's prone to being attacked. It's blocked by pawns. On the other hand, it's hard to say where your bishop should go. But if I had my brothers, I like to put it on c4. Maybe trade it off. I like f3. You know, I want to know why the great Smirnov didn't play f3. It looks too good. Okay, people are paranoid about their structure too much. But bishop d2 is fine. I still think you should play f3. Anyway, bishop d3 isn't so great. h6, that's obviously not so great. And bishop d2, and now rook e8, and now f3. And he doesn't really have anything special here. He needs to get in f5. If he could get in f5, he would be in the game. So say he takes knight d5. No, he's screwed again. This is never a thing. So does he never has knight d5. He has knight d5. If he can mess up your pawn structure, no draw jokes about Leiko. Knight d5 actually looks like it's playable, but there's a problem. Takes, and takes. Yeah, that loses a pawn. Other than that, it's great. Okay. So you're still better. I just don't like your bishop on d3. But this king e7 is kind of weird. But either way, he's congested. I mean, this pawn, man, it's winning. It's like a winning. This is my whole, like, thing. You know, I totally re-evaluated chess at some point in the last 5 years. Like this control of the center and a pawn like that is just like winning. It's like winning the game, dude. Almost winning the game. It's so strong. If black can't achieve f5, you know, he's going to be condemned to total passivity. You know, you could, you know, like g4, h4, and then eventually you just clamp him down. He can't. It's an exchange variation. Queenside castles, king f8, and black's completely passive, and then a3. This is your good bishop, so I'm not in a hurry to exchange it. I don't have a problem with a3, although you could use it as a lever later on. Now he's asking for b4, but this is risky. You can play b4. h4. I like h4. I like h4. I like h4 and g4. You're just going to attack the shit out of him now. Now we're not even talking about endgames. We're talking about checkmating this dude. He's just getting mated. You know, this is over. That's probably why, you know, black shouldn't do that plan. Going back, you know, retrospectively, when we look at like Lenderman or whatever, you see Lenderman do what? Like bishop d2, no, f3, sorry, bishop e6. But I think the interesting question is where you're going to see Lenderman put his king here. Bishop d2, knight d7. Aha. So Lenderman has an actual sort of plan of maybe like f6, a3. That I'm not in love with. And he castled queenside. Yep. All right. Now f6. Bishop e3. Of course, white should never lose this position. He does eventually put the king on e7. I mean, white is better. You know, there's no way that white should have lost this game. But Lenderman was much more careful than your opponent, who walked into a huge pawn storm here. His knight is going to face this tidal wave first. Now it's like a little late, bro. And that move allows him to try f6. So I guess we've got to wonder about g5, h5. But it's not easy to evaluate. Maybe you should prepare it. Now f4 is no good, but you have this. But again, your bishop is going to allow for some. It's going to allow him for some sort of like maybe threats at some point. Okay, knight e5, bishop e2. If this happens, you give him your light square bishop, no questions asked. That's your worst piece. Give him light square bishop, you're still clearly better. The bishop never should have gone to d3. So now the question is, can he blockade with like f6? I'm very afraid to allow g5. He allowed you to play g5. I think he should play f6 now. And I don't think you have f4. So you have to like prepare. Of course, if you get g5 in any way, you know, you're killing him. But you're going to have to prepare it with like rook. Actually, yeah, rook g1 or maybe bishop e2. But it's getting more problematic to get this in. Let's say rook g1. This move doesn't do anything. You can just move your rook to g2. You're threatening f4, g5. Say he goes here. I think you can like just retreat. And then how is he stopping f4, g5? He's not really. So he's probably doing something like this. You need your dark square bishop, so you trade, takes, and then you're trying to break through with the f4, but he's got this type of stuff where he can take on c3 and take your e4 pawn. So it's like a race, you know, are you in time? And it looks like you're in time. I mean, let's say like takes, 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 takes. It looks like white's breaking through, you know? You're breaking through. Computer doesn't think it's enough. But it's close. It's really close. I feel like that's a pretty good illustration of what should happen here. Objectively. I'm a little bit skeptical of this, but once he allows g5, now he may be in trouble. Still, it's a game. It's still not. You're also breaking up your pawn. You're breaking up your pawn structure too, so it's not a no-brainer. Okay, but you will have the h6 lever, which is probably going to decide. You have h6 now. Close but no cigar. h6, pawn takes g5. Unfortunately, h7 is too slow. I wonder if your rook was on g1, I bet like h6 might work immediately. But you probably don't have time. And if you go to f4, yeah, there's nothing. So now you go back. Yeah. So here black could try to maybe stubbornly defend with knight f7. I don't know. Objectively, that's enough because you're still going forward. But I think this leaves him with, oh, he played bishop c4. Oh, wow. Bishop c4. Interesting. Uh-oh. This I didn't see. h6. What if we don't panic? Yeah, f3. We cannot lose f3. This bishop c4 is really annoying. So you take. What else? Takes, takes. But here, I'm wondering if you could have made a different move, you know? But I guess it doesn't look like anything. Because if you do bishop f4, he's just going to trade. You have to take with the rook. And I don't even think like white's better. You're probably just worse, although you have this. You're actually slightly worse. So I don't know what to do. There's the weird move bishop e1. No, b4 looks ugly. But of course it looks ugly. But if bishop e1, instead of what? b4 what? Instead of b4 immediately? But I mean, there's this. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, you could consider doing it immediately. Okay, he doesn't have to. He'll move his bishop. He would just move his bishop. Ultimately, this pawn is undermined. On f3, our attack's a little slow. But maybe you're right. Maybe we do this anyway. Still, the computer doesn't like white. We don't have enough play. Man, I wonder if we messed up with g5. At the end of the day, I mean, my criticism, I don't know. G5's okay. Computer like thinks it's +1 and then it drops down massively. Bishop E2. Patience. Yeah, I mean, I don't like your G5. H5, sorry. I don't like H5. It's too inflexible. H5 was too inflexible. This is where you lost a lot of your advantage. And now you're teasing, you know, you're very slightly better, but yeah. H5 is the real mistake. The real McCoy. So now we're just desperately trying to find something. And it's just not enough. So, geez. I'm a little bit worried about knight takes d2. Holy crap. Wow. Uh, yeah, well, obviously you have a lot of options here. A3 pawn doesn't seem that important. You could have maybe played like bishop f4. You could play a lot of things, but h6 is the sharpest. Knight takes d2. H takes g7 check. And then he didn't take it. He didn't take it. This is a hallucination. So he forgot my I don't understand why he didn't take it. It's like you thought you had this or something. So I'm imagining like you looked at this, and this, and you thought you like had him in some kind of mating net or something. But his bishop's covering g1. There's a good reason not to play b4. So what if we don't play b4? What if we just do this right away? Just saying. If we do this right away, he doesn't do knight takes d2 necessarily. Yeah. Apparently black's fine, but it's not easy over the board. I mean, he could go wrong. Like, I guess taking is kind of dangerous. What if he takes on d2? h7, king f7. Yeah, but here, I was looking at this. It's not enough. No. So I think we have to blame h5. But still, you have to play the position. So you lucked out there. You lucked out and you got to this endgame, which is a draw, ostensibly. I guess. Put a knight on f5 for white, and, you know, I think the evaluation is shifting. But I don't see how you're going to get your knight to f5 without black, you know, helping you tremendously here. The rook in game is probably a draw. But still, you have this majority, theoretically, if his bishop doesn't play. He played a5, okay. Knight a4, check. Oh no. What about taking the bishop? You figure you don't care. You're winning either way. Maybe. Oh, if you take the bishop, he has b takes a. No, your king's. You can't. Yeah, you can't. ba. Now you have knight c5. Among other moves. What's happening there? Yeah, he'll be able to undouble his pawns here. I think this. Takes? What's up with this king and pawning game? Oh no, tripled pawns. This is a draw. He has f5. Oh no. Oh no, f5. Isn't that convenient? If only your king was a little closer to the center. Okay, king e2, b5, and now you play knight c5. So what's the difference now? If he plays king f7, it's a draw. If he takes, you're winning now. Wow. He takes, you're winning now. You just have a passed pawn. But he doesn't need to take. He can play king f7. This is an interesting game. I was expecting you to play like c3. It's a draw. Yeah, but this is a little tricky for black. I don't like that your pawn is locked on a dark square on b4. King f7. Knight a6. Bishop c3. King d3. Bishop e1. Like c3. Next pawn. King e6. Knight c7. Check. His king is very active. So between this threat and his bishop staying on your dark square pawns, black is just hanging on. So b5 is a terrible move. b5 has been declared a terrible move. Well, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be my first choice. Can he play f5 right away? Apparently, but it's not the best either. b6, preventing knight c5. Black isn't 100% equal. You know, it's not easy. You still have that pawn. Oh, look, the pawn. It's the pawn. Magnus could be, you know, who you fan here, probably. It looks like Magnus who you fan in game. All right, but you know, you got lucky with the fork there. Of course, he wasn't looking for that. But anyway, it was a really interesting game, strategically speaking. I find it interesting how at the end of the game, your e pawn never got undermined, you know, and that's why e takes c is a risky decision for black in that type of sort of scotch. You know, the whole point of the scotch, I mean, for black, problem with the scotch is we're getting in d5. We're getting in d5 and we're destroying your freaking central pawn. And that's how black equalizes. So if one plays this type of variation, one has to know exactly what they're doing. I don't know why that line that I played, I was mentioning for the game, this, for some reason, is better. But this bishop c on c5, it's nice and active. That's an improvement. There's Reminiscent again. But where's the other game? There was 4 games, I thought. I said bishop c5, knight takes c6, e takes c6. There's 4 games. Oh, okay. Yeah, one game White played knight c3. Kovacevic, this is suspicious. Kovacevic drawing with the 2200. Like he didn't want to beat a woman or something. He was like at his peak strength then in 2002. Why would he play such a line with black against 2200? But that's extremely suspicious. Why would a 2581 player play this paid for norm? It's more like it's a pretty girl he didn't want to beat, so he gave her a draw or something. Why in the world would a 2580 player, you know, could easily beat this player, like this end game, allowing this end game. And then why would the woman 2200 player not exchange queens and play knight c3, allowing Kovacevic to keep the queens on the board? The second possibility is it can be misreported, especially games going back as early as 2002. You know, for all we know, Kovacevic played like queen f6 or something. I don't know. But anyway, you got my point. Like this endgame might be like not so bad for black because the bishop's very active. Everybody played knight c3. I mean, black could play f5 theoretically. Is this that bad? It's bad apparently. Black king is too exposed. It's still better for white. Yeah, I wouldn't want to trust this either. Anyway, you get the point. Let's do the last game. So, last game, Bugsy. IMG. I mean, there's no rules against giving people a draw, you know, a fixed draw, arranged draws. I've done a lot of arranged draws. But, you know, for a grandmaster to give a 2200 a draw with black is pretty unusual. All right. E4, C5, knight of 3. So boop, 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 boop. A6, F3. I don't know what color we are here. I'm assuming that I should look at the result. Spoiler. Black's winning. I guess we're playing black. Most people submit wins. Not everyone. But I'd rather see the black side of the Najdorf. I realize the Najdorf is just a good Kraken. A Najdorf is basically just a really good Kraken, where we got C5 and traded on D4. So F3. I haven't looked at this in a long time, and I never really knew it well in the first place. Yeah. I know a lot of people will just play H5 right away. Nowadays. This is very trendy. only drunken Tomljanovic plays this. Ilincic, 2017. Ilincic will just, like, if you look at him the wrong way, he'll play H5. Gukesh has a game for 2019. Sipidov keeps popping up, but anyway, H5's it's too much. So we do E5, and now knight B3. Okay, so it's like the bishop E3, right? But white, you know, doesn't have to worry about knight G4. The thing is, you know, I can look at the Najdorf with a fresh perspective since I don't really know it that well. I don't have a lot of built-in biases. F3 feels slower than bishop E3, so it should have some drawbacks. I'm still tempted to play H5. As you can see, there are games with H5, but it's not real common. If you play bishop E6, and white plays G4, you have D5. Play bishop E2 and hope for the best. So bishop E6. Well, I mean, you can always play H6. You can buy time if white plays G4. You could buy time with H6. I'm surprised that more players didn't try G4. Obsession played it. Wow. Wow, okay. I'm out of my depth here, by the way. So bishop e6 is the main move. I mean, it prevents bishop c4. It gives you the option to take with the bishop on d5. You know, what about f3? I mean, what does it do? What doesn't it do? But it weakens the dark square. So if we get a future position where, you know, white's going in here, if I could trade off my dark square bishop somehow, he's going to regret playing f3. Easy to say, but difficult to prove in practice. If white hasn't played f3, you know, the dark square bishop exchange, then white is bad for white. Right, anyway, bishop e7 is fine. And now bishop e3. So what else is he going to do? I mean, the only other move is g4. And that seems excessive. If white were to play g4, what do we do? If you go to the Lee Chess Opening Explorer, I guarantee there's going to be like a million games with g4. Your best bet is to play bishop e6, apparently. And are you threatening d5? Wolfgang Gunkel. So g5, knight h5. Queen e2, castles. But if bishop e3, we transpose d5. So here's the point. d5, sorry, d5, g5, and then d4. And black is clearly better. You just temporarily sacrifice a piece. It's bad. It's bad for white. So anyway, I just wanted to understand this. Bishop e3, bishop e6, knight d5, and now that's a very, very rare move. I mean, white has to understand that your development isn't that great. I mean, ultimately, I think this is the problem with f3. It's a little slower than bishop e3. So, like, you're already theoretically threatening d5. The problem is it might not be that good. But white plays knight d5 as if he's afraid you're going to play d5. If he plays the proper move, queen d2, and you play d5, you get Shirov Luboyevich from 2000. What is that? 1995. So this is the point. E takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5, queen takes d5, bishop takes d5, castles queen side. It's like an f3 variation. It's subtle, but Zoli Varga knows about this. Yeah, this is Luboyevich managed to save this game against Shirov in 1995. Just an unpleasant. It's a very unpleasant endgame. No, I'm just saying that's a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, now you're supposed to play castles or h5. This looks like an interesting alternative. Knight on bd7, but then he has g4. Yeah, I agree. I like h5. I would play h5. And I'm not sure that you're threatening d5. So anyway, he plays knight d5 too early. But so now we have this debate, right? You could take with the knight. It's been played by some good players, but it does seem like if he trades the white square bishops, my friend Emil lost in 1992. It's only equal, for white. Wow. I thought white might be better. Bishop e2. I mean, okay, so this is playable, but I think your way of playing this is more. Oh, you did knight takes. You did this. Oh, I thought you were gonna take with the bishop. So bishop takes is more dynamic, I think. It's also riskier in a sense. What we want to do would be trade the darks for bishops somehow. Not easy to achieve. White also has this trash compactor with c4. Surprise. Okay, there's not many games here, but black should be okay. Knight bd7, queen e2. It's like a blockade, a dark square blockade. Nefedov's never seen this before. Queen c7, c4, a5. Krivoruchko, Salam Salah. a5 didn't get found. But I think the black's blockade is pretty good here. That's an alternative. I've always been a big fan of dark square blockade and the Sicilian in pretty much every variation. I had a game like this the other day. Finally, you have to keep an open mind. I mean, who's to say, like, it's not possible to play this? Someone played this. What about c4? Oof. That's a problem. White's better. So you got to eliminate the knight now. Both moves are possible. All right, you took with the knight. Are there other options? Bishop d7 leaves your knight no squares. So any other option is bishop c8. It's obviously extremely passive. But it keeps pieces on the board. Yeah, I mean, white has a huge space advantage. So you played the logical move. All right, so there's one game. But I mean, if I were white, I would think like either queen d2 or bishop d3. If bishop d3, by the way, this is interesting. This woman is pretty good. She was at the World Senior. Really old Russian women's player, but still playing like in her 70s pretty strongly. Bishop f5. Bishop takes d3. All right, so here now, use trash compactor. You've basically done nothing wrong, and I think I want to look at all the possibilities here. Can we play like bishop h4 check? Because I think this move needs to be considered. It's going to weaken white's position, but it also might give him some possibilities. But definitely worth considering. I mean, now you have bishop g5. Well, what it achieves is weakening his kingside. He has moved up, a lot of pawns. And in the long run, it doesn't achieve anything immediately, but in the long run, he might just like lose because he's made too many weaknesses. It's a long-term thinking kind of move. More pawn moves is more weaknesses. I think it should be considered. There's also like simply bishop g5. That also needs to be considered. Your move is normal. What I don't get is like white's refusal to play bishop d3. It's like he doesn't understand that this is a bad bishop, and some Razzi. This guy Vukovic, who I don't know, some random guy, Alexander Vukovic, played bishop e2. All right, he didn't want to trade pieces. It's a bishop. He felt he could play against the bishop on f5. Okay, both moves are playable. You played like your guy, castled, he castled, and now you transposed to Zhu Chen. Gayash Miklos, 2008. Grandmaster draw. And now bishop g6. Somebody played a5, the old-fashioned dark square blockade. And that's a pretty good player. If we play a5, we could play a4 and maybe bring the queen out, or maybe b6 and stick the knight on c5. Exchanging dark square bishops, well, yeah. Bishop g6, rook c1, and now rook c8. So this move forces an exchange of dark square bishops. It looks like it should be played right away. Computer doesn't like it. I'm not entirely surprised. I don't know why. The engine is going to be like, okay, bishop g5, queen e2, bishop e3, queen e3, and white is still fine. There's a queen a5, there's a knight a5 issue. Wow, but how serious is that? Knight a5. It's nothing. It looks like it's nothing. You could literally trap his knight on b7. Like h5, knight takes b7. Check. Couldn't you trap his knight? He has c5 now. Oh, queen b3. Oh no. That looks like something I would lose. I would lose a tournament game because I missed that. But I like bishop g5. a5 is interesting as well. Rook c8. I mean, it's okay. I feel kind of boxed in. Your queen has queen b8, bishop d8. Looks like the c5 is coming, so that may not be very effective. If you play a5, you can play a4, and then you're gonna force him back. You're gonna force him back. He's gonna go back, and you're gonna like lock down the dark squares. And then you can do your bishop d8, bishop b6. You're fine. Yeah, rook c8 is a lazy move, and then this, a little surprising. White's playing like cautiously. He has to get in the. He had to try to get in the compactor mode. Maybe he needs to play b4, right? Okay, he does b4. Okay, so this may not be bad actually. You have the option to play a5 now, going back to dark square blockade mode. Black is absolutely okay. If you allow b4, it's trash compactor time. That's what happened. I remember I had some game with some Iranian guy on my stream in a similar Sveshnikov where he played like you. He did like bishop g5, f5, f4. It was a Sveshnikov. Yeah, stop his counterplay before it starts. So, and the other possibility is bishop g5. I don't see any problem with this. Okay, he can take and play b4, but his dark squares look very weak. I'm not sure. Maybe it works. And maybe you can't do anything about it. So yeah, I guess the best bet is a5. But if you have your rook behind it, right, you can play a4. If he plays a3 now, you can't play a4 because you're dropping a pawn. So without the rook behind it, a5 is not so simple. He's starting b4 anyway. So the rook really doesn't do anything on c8. You've also got to watch for that bishop sometimes coming out there to that diagonal. Well, here it's not an issue. So, okay, f5, fine. Here. Now white's threatening the trash compactor. Is he or isn't he? Maybe not. Well, you still have 1, 2, 3. You have 4 defenders of c5. Well, maybe he can play it as a pawn sack. He played f4. This is like, you know, very committal. The most important moment in the King's Indian, let's say. An option would be a5 to probably, you know, induce a3 and simplify the situation. I'm not sure if it's beneficial or not, but it might be. Again, probably better if your rook's on the a file. Is he threatening c5? Another move you might want to play is king h8 to get out of this diagonal stuff. But anyway, f4, bishop f2, now what? Okay, bishop here. Now, I imagine a lot of good players are wondering about g3, including me. It would take courage to play this move. He also has to consider queen e1. With queen e1, he could, you know, try to maybe like control this diagonal. Although I think you're okay. So g3 is really sharp because you have queen g5. And then he has to play, it looks like he has to play king g2 when you're close to real stuff. But this looks pretty dangerous for white. On the other hand, you could lose a piece very easily. But I mean, I guess there's nothing here. Just optical illusions. But it's close. You know, you need to look. White. Computer doesn't like g3. This does draw your queen out of position. Oof. Well, that's a computer-like move, knight e4. I would think a human player would stay a million miles away from that. He just lets you have like good knight against bad bishop with no fear. He's either computer or a noob. Yeah, but the computer will appreciate this bad bishop, where most humans will probably misplay this position and lose with white. The bad bishop is yeah, sorry. The bad bishop is a strong piece, but there's no time to screw around here for white. No, I mean, I wouldn't play knight e4. There's no way I'm going to let you. No way I'm going to let you play knight e4 here. I mean, I'm going to play knight e4, let you take it with your bishop. But earlier, he didn't understand, you know, to trade his white square bishop. It's like he doesn't understand, like, color complexes type of stuff. He has a problem, though. Okay, I get it. Like, he doesn't have any good moves. What's he supposed to do? I mean, for example, again, I mean, queen e1. At least here, his pieces are a little better coordinated. It's still equal. Computer doesn't mind his position, but he's not a computer, hopefully. Takes, knight f6. Now, when you play knight f6, you're allowing c5, possibly. But you have to do something. Interesting possibilities here. You also have to watch for bishop g4. This is the kind of position where you might have like a surprising move. Let's say a5. I don't think so, but you know. So here, and then if he plays c5, yeah, he has to play c5, and all hell breaks loose. There was a game like Korchnoi had with white in a King's Indian where he famously beat someone strong. I think it might have even been Kasparov. But I guess, you know, the point is when you look at the position, when you get to this point, you're like, well, black's not really threatening anything. You know, like what is black threatening? So this doesn't really do anything. Black doesn't have any threats. So I guess you might see something like this, you know. Maybe knight g3. I mean, so this is terrible. I mean, bishop f3 is terrible and mindless, materialistic. Yeah. So he has to play c5. And if knight takes e4, bishop g4, it's not his only move, you know. This happens to be a really strong move, but you know, he could have made, like I said, like a routine move. Yeah, see, knight g3 is best. You literally have that. This is so bad on so many levels. Like bishop f3, my god, man. His bishop's buried, he's playing materialistically, and he's walking right into g5, h5, g4. Again, so now, okay, at least he tried to trade queens, but maybe you shouldn't trade queens. The problem is you're blocking your h pawn. If you play queen h6, you can play like h3, and it's going to take you a while to get unraveled here. I still think that black is probably better. You're better. So interesting, the computer likes your queen exchange. I think a lot of attacking players would have refused to exchange queens here. This is a matter of situation and style. There's a case to be made for queen h6. I mean, I think the evaluation of the endgame depends on calculation. If he gets in c5, you know, you're probably worse. If he can't, you know, might be better. He might be better. But I don't think this is a trivial endgame to evaluate. I wouldn't really know, you know, honestly. I honestly wouldn't know. I mean, who's better here? It's very close and imbalanced. So b6 is the obvious suggestion. Ugly, but it does the job, you know. I think that's what you need to do. The a5 is an extreme move, but the b6 is safer. That would allow this, though, I guess. And I don't love that either. This is true, you know, bishop a4 is kind of tough. I can understand not wanting to play b6. If you can avoid it, okay. So rook c7, you're trying to avoid it. And he needs to try to get this in at all cost. And he got it in. Oh man. Okay, you played king f8. Whoa. What the hell's going on? After king f8. That's a nice trick. And what is happening? If knight takes e4, you're just better. But you played h5, and then you took. Could have taken on the previous move. Now c6. But these pawns are too strong. So ultimately, I mean, maybe he played c5 in the wrong moment. Still, the computer thinks it was the best move. King f8. Yeah, he's worse already. I guess bishop b3 isn't the best. He should have played c5 right away. But the question is where to put his bishop. This is too hard to find for white. The computer would save this position, but it's not a computer, you know? People have a terrible time with like defending bad bishop positions. So it's just too hard for him, practically. Yeah, you should have taken that on the previous move. Now it should be winning, but okay, still tricky. You're gonna have to reorganize. You're planning on putting the knight on c7. It's very nice. Yep. Yeah. This is too much. The two connectors are killing. I mean, it's a good illustration of a type of position that's too hard to defend for a person. Computer. Well, you hate the 98 thing. No, I like it. I think it's winning. You know, what are you supposed to do? I mean, he has counterplay. He has counterplay with a4. I guess you could go to e4, knight c3 or something. But you have to come up with a plan. a4 is a little bit scary. I don't mind what you did there. Computer doesn't really love it. I see. He could have opted to like blockade. He didn't blockade. He didn't blockade when he has to blockade. He has to blockade the c4. And he's still hanging on. I mean, it was certainly a safe plan, but you pick off the pawn. He goes rook a1. If you push e4, okay, fine, but what are you threatening? After a4, isn't he going to gain counterplay with takes, rook a5? Here, takes, rook a5. You'd have to be able to calculate all this out. e3, rook takes b5, f3, you know, rook b7, pawn b7, e2. I mean, it's not that easy. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. Interesting games today. I enjoyed going over these games with you guys. Sax Draw, thanks for donating $1.44, bringing us up to $13.10. And thanks to Sladgie for donating $69, and Mr. Slow for $20, and Asterbate, and Sex Draw, and everybody. Thank you guys. I'm registered for the World Senior November in Portugal. Officially, you can check it on chess-results website. 50 plus, obviously. I'll see you guys later. If I wake up in time, we're hosting a stream tomorrow, Friday, at Friday 12 noon CEST, and Simul Sunday, as always. Thanks, everybody. It was fun. Thanks for the support. Good games. Bye-bye.